Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to ReThink, or more accurately, we are back to the old version of ReThink, which increasingly, just from the first glance, I'm just more satisfied with the old version of ReThink. This does paint a weird problem in that there is a game called Interesting. Apparently, at some point we might be able to put something on the edges of this. Like you don't get just a square here. Let me just right click these. Oh yeah, I can straight up just pick up these objects. So interesting. Yeah. There's a game called ReThink Lite also, which increasingly makes this like questionable. Oh, there aren't quite enough pieces as far as what would the case have been as far as what those other games would be. And I question here. Now the running and jumping still is weird. I will say. But I think I can get up there. Like, I do think I can get up there. So let's, for safety, grab all of this. And let's come over here and place it. So I can place these anywhere I want on the edge of any black thing. So that starts our move. Which okay. I'm hitting the edge. We are up. So, again, I said when we started playing this that there was this possibility, certainly, that you could, in the real world, get up here and then you would expect these to be fire exits with these bars across them, and you would just be able to escape the prison completely. In the video game format, we are now being shown that we have no interactive button to open these doors. And so it would have been a little surprising, but not super surprising, if it turned out that these catwalks did open and then this was some way to go through puzzle rooms perhaps faster. And then these lights lit up when we walked by them, but I don't think there's any kind of puzzle around that. Alright. So, I imagine there isn't anything more that could be done. We could spell out something, certainly. I can certainly point out that this is a little bit buggy. That there is kind of a lack of easy single mouse click button actions here, and yeah, running and jumping over that's not a big deal. And we have the horizontal thing, so one would think that when we cross through this, anything in our inventory at least would be reset. We've been finding these extra cubes, and that didn't do anything for these doors. These doors weirdly have a receiver symbol on them. Now it says middle mouse button is, I guess, what that's supposed to stand for, to switch colors. I want to turn around here and just make sure that that didn't reset. So interesting. We can go through red, but we can't go through orange. And the orange and red, they are very similar. And we can go through blue, dark blue, but not light blue. So, alright. So basically, it has nothing to do with the edge color. You have to look at whether it's a solid color or whether it's a tinted color. Okay. So that kind of feels like what we're doing here is just kind of collecting, and it feels like this is just a toggle gate just to teach you how things work. It's been a while since we found one of these, and I was starting to wonder if maybe something had happened where in the new version of the game it just got incredibly it got a little worse. I won't say incredibly, a little worse as you continued to play the game, just more bare bones and less visually interesting, and I'm wondering if maybe we'll see that same pattern. So this text says, "These idiots, they just let me run into a wall. I promise I'll beat the crap out of the person who came up with this idea if I ever manage to find him or her. My damn head hurts." This is from Vlad from 6/16/2020 2275. So yeah, I question if we're going to very sparingly see these notes, and the notes aren't just going to matter. Well, down we are here, and then we have a vertical propulsion panel. So it really is just taking everything you might have seen. These are all walls, so not like 100% sure. I guess this isn't a wall. Okay. So we will put one there. Apparently too far away. Wonder if I'm supposed to jump up and place one. See, because these last two cubes are not colors you select or anything. Oh, I'm clicking the wrong button, aren't I? Yep, I'm right-clicking the mouse button. Kind of obviously need some double-click protection. It needs a debouncing function programmed into it. And normally you'd think something like the Unity engine would have that just built in. And it's hardly a case that my mouse normally has these problems of the signal being duplicated. I want to look up here and just make sure that there isn't any extra secret. It is probably a good thing that we didn't get rewarded for getting up to the scaffolding, the catwalk. I guess catwalk is the right term there. Because had I been rewarded that one time, then I would constantly feel the need to try to get back up there to be rewarded a second time. This is going to prove to be a little bit more difficult than it probably should be, because I thought I was just going to end up needing to get the line going, and then I would just get to this point, and then I would just be able to place cubes next to me. But instead, it has opted to make me find a wall and interconnect So I have a slight concern about potentially coming back to this whole area. Although if I come from the back, from the opposite direction, exiting this area, wouldn't be particularly difficult. Just go ahead and place that one cube since we would lose it anyways. This is where the scaffolding would have more purpose, as if at the end of the game you did have to walk backwards. Yeah. So as I'm trying to contemplate how would I, interesting how they hid puzzle 13 there, how would I integrate this older version of the game that does have completely less polished graphics into a potential new version of the game. And yeah, I don't know exactly how you would do that. What am I floating on? Just a ledge? I don't think I was supposed to be able to have done that. Because you would almost effectively have to say that this old version of the game is just like some kind of alternate dimension, and the ending would then have to have been something a little bit more crazy than just, oh, we were lying to you the whole time, and we weren't going to let you free. Which, in all fairness, that does seem fairly silly that you would be freed for solving a bunch of puzzles. Oh, whoops. Everything toggles when you middle mouse button. It's just like the entire world changes. In a game more polished with more funding, you would expect, like Portal, you would expect they would have given you some kind of object or upgrade to get to that point. Something that felt like you didn't have that ability earlier in the game, which would have made earlier puzzles easier to control. Okay. And so I think the solution here actually is to just do this. We're going to middle mouse button and then we're going to glide forward. And ideally we'll just try and glide all the way to the edge there. Didn't work. Well, that felt like that was the move. You have quite a far reach. Okay. Okay. So I'm just not understanding this at all, am I? Somewhere I didn't either pick up enough boxes or lost some boxes too. From the grounds, though, I don't think you could ever get up. These boxes are high enough, and you don't have like a squat down to shoot a box at the bottom. Yeah. So trying to build stairs upward doesn't work. We still don't know if these lights mean anything at all. What happens if I middle mouse button on that? It doesn't change the lights here. It does change the accent lighting in the room. So it basically is a case of feeling like you're going into just a alternate parallel dimension. Okay. The problem here is I may just needed to have been higher because I can't place objects. Yeah. I need to be at least this high. I would still be fairly forgivable if ReThink Lite is just what ReThink is, but slightly remastered in even a new level of graphics. Although I do have a certain level of complaints I think I want to start making about games that are just constantly remastering their graphics and reselling themselves. Even big AAA games have gotten rather ridiculous sometimes around their remastering of things and reselling of things. Skyrim is perhaps a very high example of that. But I really still can't abide the idea of them still selling the original ReThink and then having a remade version, the new version of ReThink, available for purchase, and then ReThink Lite potentially being the exact same thing. But maybe it isn't. Maybe it's just more puzzles. But the continuing of having ReThink and then ReThink Evolves still feels very weird. That being said, I really like this old version, but there's no promise at all that the old version that I'm playing now has any semblance in the level of difficulty and interactions to what the other games are. Like most iterations on any series of games go forward, they don't go backwards. Yeah, so again here, either I'm supposed to press forward, which that didn't seem like that really worked for me. It seemed like I just had downward momentum and at that point couldn't go forward and glide and have air control. Or I've got to figure out some way to place blue cubes. So the thought would be to press forward and then look downward when we middle mouse button and see if I can left click if I'm not going forward. And that's a lot of button presses to have to press at the same time. Let's see what happens. Okay, well, that worked. And in this case, I don't really feel like there was much of a puzzle here as much as there was just a platforming puzzle versus a logical puzzle. And we're into now number 14. Yep. And it does definitely feel like the game is getting more demanding as far as platforming puzzles go. But I really don't have a problem with that either. It's something different, something definitely to wash the palate of the giant laser puzzle that we did before. And I definitely don't mind there being some variety in the puzzles and some easier versions of puzzles. Do we go through orange when we have orange lights on? I think we do. And we have no cubes otherwise. So this does just seem like a jump where I tapped the space button way too early there. Yep. So that was that. There's nothing killing you or hurting you in this whole process. So I think what we're running into is just an encouragement to make a long jump. But in reality, I don't think there is actually maybe that big of a need to jump. Much as we might be able to just crawl. Or just walk. In fairness, this is a little wonky. There we go. The slow movement speed of solving all these is great falling action. But I would like to get back to a laser puzzle. And I definitely wouldn't like to spend 10 puzzles just solving these. But it does kind of seem like that is the case. And maybe that would justify the drastic changes in the minds of the creators of this game, or the one creator that I suspect it was one creator. Perhaps there was just a massive amount of positive feedback on the first 10 puzzles, and then there was a lot of negative feedback on the puzzles after the first 10. In this old version of the game, as we're now playing, it feels like puzzles 11 through 6 through 19 or 20 even may literally be just platforming puzzles. I could see this being frustrating. So you've got to get one middle mouse button. You have to have it on orange first, and then middle mouse button after you're past the orange, then you have to press forward to land on the platform. I think it would maybe make a little bit more sense to have the blue in parallel. And that gets us to this next section, which could easily have been numbered as a different number. Then I just don't think the number matters so much as the color. Probably doesn't matter here as much as we're just gonna jump forward and land on a platform of our own making. Let's see. Forward, forward, forward. There we go. Take all that with us. Well, seemingly we can't take it all with us. We can go down here and we can place it. I wonder if I'm supposed to click and drag. Nope, that's not working any better. We should, I guess, look at the settings and just see if there's... Like, mouse sensitivity would be the movement of up, down, left, right. It wouldn't be the sensitivity on the mouse clicking. So no, I don't see anything here. Weird, you can get stuck in some places. Like, these panels are just slightly more inset, and for the clipping aspect, that probably shouldn't be the case. That's where you would have the collision box be slightly different from what the actual visuals of the box look like. Although I imagine a lot of new to programming, and I assume this is a newer to programming programmer, probably don't go through any extra effort to change the collision boxes versus what the 3D models would automatically have generated, particularly if you're buying assets or just building generic objects in an engine like Unity. It's very much what you see is what you get, which has made over a very long period of time video gaming design a lot easier, where you would have had to have manually programmed collision boxes previously. And so it has gone from a case where manually programming everything with no engine, no assistance, also included manually programming collision boxes, to collision boxes, hit boxes, hurt boxes that in fighting games are really only talked about in fighting games, and only concerned about in fighting games, because that's where the precision is needed. Yeah, you have such a overarching height when you hit these that you can effectively just get anywhere, and you have a arrow pointing me in a direction, but there's no force really forcing me in a direction, so we probably needed that, but there might also just be a secret somewhere. We have one cube. Okay, to get out of here, I think we have to bounce up to that and back out. So that. And it just doesn't seem like there's any other cubes even in here, so just like a slightly diagonal shot in that direction seems like that's what we're supposed to do. And that was walking. Let's see what happens if we're running. Yeah, if you're running, you get even further in that high section. And then we needed that to power up these stairs. I just want to take a brief second here to look around and make sure that I'm not missing any secret cubes. Like, undoubtedly, my fear here is that we are going to solve all the puzzles, which are just completely different puzzles now. But then we won't have found all the secret cubes, and in not finding all the secret cubes, there will be this encouragement to go back and... Oh, that one had force. That one shot me very specifically in one direction. And that one shot me very specifically in one direction. Okay, so that doesn't do anything different. The move is to shoot yourself across in blue, and then I think the move is to hop across much lower arc on that jump. And then shoot yourself across in orange. And you have to be up here. You can't get to this pile of cubes any other way. I do think it would be fairly annoying if we had to go through the entirety of all the puzzles, even if they're still solved, and just walk around the facility multiple times. I guess we should look at this and see if maybe there's some secret here. There was also a point where we had these diamond pattern designs over some doors, and I wonder if maybe there was some secret there. But I am uncertain. In fact, I'm a little uncertain as to where we're even supposed to go. Like the only place we can place a cube starts here. Are we supposed to take 6 cubes and stair step it to make a wall to collide to get to that spot? Or are we supposed to... Yeah, I think what we're probably supposed to do is... go through the blue and take the short hop over here, and then I think we're supposed to make a platform just higher and higher upward. We'll do it right across the wall. Actually, let's do it a different way. Come to think of it, let's just put ourselves in position first and foremost. But I'm in the wrong position, because if I'm in blue now, I'm gonna walk through the blue. Oh wait, no, that should be good enough. Okay. Problem is we only have 6. So I don't know how this is gonna work. And I really probably can't jump from that pad in that direction. I wish there was also a way to I'm getting wedged here. Can I crawl? Like, it definitely feels like there should be a way to hold down shift to walk slower, perhaps, instead of holding down shift to run, or holding down even a different button. I imagine I couldn't personally just reinvent the WASD line layout for keys, but it does kind of feel like you should be able to press on the arrow keys and then walk very slow, or you should have some extra programming so you don't fall off the edges of cubes without having a really high amount of momentum. This is probably one of the first one of these puzzles, though, I have to say, where I'm not 100% sure that I solved it the intended way. Also, though, I guess I can't really care too much. Yeah, we've found yet another thing. There's a lot of cussing, I'm noticing, but they are prisoners, so that's reasonable in these logs, but it does make a puzzle game that would otherwise be appropriate for kids and not that difficult, oddly inconsistent. And take a notice here that when my cursor is over the text, it has that gun sight style of cursor instead of a square cursor. It says, "What the F is this crap? I have no effing clue why to make us do these tests. I'm so damn fed up with this crap. I might just stop doing this BS. They told us nothing. Why are we doing this?" This is from Jose 617 2275. It feels like the date is either the next day for each of these notes, or like the same day. Yeah. So my cursor is the gun style now. Why is it the gun style? When did the cursor change? I swear at some point the cursor was the square style. And in this old version of the game, changing what the cursor reticle is technically what it's called, it just seems like there's no way of changing that. There's an option here to turn off decorative lights, which I would like to perhaps see what that does. Because if all of a sudden you had a lot of like the lights on the edge of the room disappearing, that would be too much. If the signs disappeared, that wouldn't be too much. I imagine the decorative lights are literally just the rarely seen now vertical lamps, floor lamps. Okay, and we've got an elevator now, which I assume we are waiting for the elevator to come up, and we saw a countersink. The elevator doors have a full square and then a side square in the corners here. So this side square indicates a door, and it seems like we're going back down, and very possibly we're getting back to more outside feeling as far as the visuals. And I imagine we might be closer to that's nothing, it seems. Yeah, we're probably getting back to some laser puzzles now on number 19. I would assume that's what this is about, is that if you see this symbol, it's telling you that the puzzle uses blocks. If you see this puzzle, it's telling you that the puzzle uses lasers. And if you see this symbol, it probably tells you that there's a secret in the area. That might make some sense too. This little plus sign doesn't quite line up to the secret cube logo, but yeah. And then the sidewalk just ends. Alright, first floor. We're going to shoot ourselves over there. And then we have an orange sign instead of a blue sign. These don't change when I middle mouse button. Oh, they do. Interesting. So they do have some value in they're telling you which mode you're in. Whereas a lesser game would probably just have a glowing orange or blue on the side of the screen, or an icon on the screen. And certainly this game does fail in some of those aspects. Here we have a black jumper pad that's not enabled, so I guess we're supposed to enable things. Yeah, we've got a receptor here, and this is probably a jump pad that would send us up higher. And we can see up there is our receptor. And we can see up there there's a receiver. So I'd imagine what we need to do is go here, then do this, then do that. And so we double mouse clicked there. I mouse clicked to go into orange mode to get through this, then I double mouse clicked to go back to blue mode so I would land properly on the platform. No help here, however. No help whatsoever as far as we have 4 cubes and we're placing 4 cubes. And I question heavily whether I can do this. It seems like there should just be platforms that appear somehow. Because I would have to get to this spot and I'd have to diagonally jump to that. And so then I'd have to diagonally jump over here, then I'd have to diagonally jump over here and land, and then I'd either have to jump on this and then diagonally jump there, or jump back to this and then diagonally jump there. And then, I mean, that definitely feels like that is what they want you to do. And these, I'm going to call them sound panels, don't seem to do anything. And then there's a blue one way up there that we're going to be jumping from over there, which will get up via there. Yeah, there is a danger in this, certainly, that this might be the frustration point I was expecting to see. Honestly, it probably is wiser to try to do a triple jump, because then you don't have to try and build up momentum on a single tile to do a run jump otherwise. If I fall, I don't think I have the timing quite right. Yeah, you can't really double click the middle mouse button. You have to middle mouse button and then once you're through, click a second time. You kind of have quite a bit of time for that. It probably is actually more of a case that you should just double jump instead of triple jumping. See if we can kind of count the spaces here. There's 4 spaces in between this, And there's 4 spaces in between this. So you could, if you're always jumping 4 spaces when you're running, make it to this spot, but that would just be a level of protection if you actually did make it to that spot, because then you just have to jump back, and that's one more risky jump. This is a issue certainly that even Portal would have had, where there definitely were some puzzles in the middle there that you just really wouldn't have wanted to do more than once. The platforming part, and that's pretty much true for any platforming game. The accomplishment of doing it once is satisfactory. The repetition of having to potentially do it 3 or 4 times adds nothing to the experience and actually takes away from the experience. And I have a longer concern that this game is trying to train me. Oh, I bet I have to actually jump here. I bet if we counted the spaces here compared to the spaces here, I have to hit this cube that is 1 square closer. Yep, I'm rather concerned that this game is training me to do high levels of platforming that I am just not going to really appreciate. So I need to probably be a little bit more to the right. See, this one would shoot me. If I was in orange mode and I hit this, I'm just going to hit the wall. So that doesn't do anything for me. If there was some way to change this so it would shoot upward, that would be interesting, but then that would also probably break future puzzles and previous puzzles. And there is definitely a danger here on just wanting to say, well, I'll do this off screen. But I don't think for pre-recorded footage that makes any sense at all. I have done it in the past, perhaps too often in the past, but I really should just show my frustration as it happens. Okay, so we need a long jump here, and we went too far. Maybe we didn't need a long jump there. You kind of need to, I think, jump 1 square back once you get to that spot. It would be so nice if you could perhaps just get the edge here, but I don't think you can do that. Oh, you can. If you just don't double jump it. That would solve a lot of risk, or reduce the risk. If we just go there. This is glass, right? Yes. Then you have your framework in the way. And see, I just don't know if I should run and jump and then jump a little early, or if I should jump a little diagonal. I think you probably should run, should jump. Nope. If you're gonna run, you're gonna have to jump early by a square, otherwise you overshoot it completely. Just holding the space button, spacebar down too long causes that double jump. Again, there's just not a debouncing function here. Like, there should be a rejection of repetitive actions in this case. Alright, so I'm just gonna run and not jump. I mean, jump and not run. Yeah, that is the solution. The solution here is to take it slow and not jump in any of the scenarios. You just hold down the W and press spacebar to get to here, which it kind of feels like it might even be cheating a little bit to make sure you get to that spot. Then you just hold down W without holding down shift to run to make the second jump, and if you're lucky you'll make that jump, and then you just hold down the W to make the third jump without hitting space shift to run. Ideally in games, I would like to see all characters running by default, or at least walking at a very brisk pace. We are ever increasingly having generations that are very much used to more ADD, ADHD type mentality and ways of doing things. Playing back YouTube at 1x speed is one of my pet peeves in particular, in that I almost never do that. I always have it at 1.5 to 2 times, usually 2 times the speed. And certainly games these days can't get away with stretching out their playtime by just having a character walk slowly. We want superhumans effectively in all games anyways. People that can take more damage, can walk faster, can jump further than what would be reasonable. Well, this is funny, this worked as far as a jump, and now it's not working, so maybe I do need to run for that spot. I thought I had it. I mean, it's pretty obvious you've got enough air control to make that. Alright, well, we made this. So now, let's just get the lineup correct, get the edge correct. I'm not going to run, I'm just going to jump. And finally, we got it. So, great example of something I would never want to do again. And certainly an example of something we're going to have to deal with again. Let's go ahead and just push forward here. These are windows, so where's the door? I guess we are going there. We need to make a line, and then we need to figure out if we are going to use the line to jump or if we are going to use the line to crawl over to this catwalk. Okay, so I can't place a cube where I'm standing. And I'm occasionally getting a prompt to put one on the edge of where I'm standing. So maybe if I move a little bit, that'll work. So it seems like we'll just be higher than where we need to be at this rate, but whatever. We'll fall down, we'll jump down. As long as the game still occasionally lets me prompt. Now this does kind of feel like I am cheating somehow, in that this isn't the intended solution. And you definitely lose a lot of that once you're outside the laser puzzles. Which I do have to admit, it is kind of silly to introduce the idea of laser puzzles in the first 10 puzzles and then have 10 puzzles that do not use the laser puzzles at all. It is also fairly silly. I guess we could just keep going up until we hit the ceiling, which is far enough away that that's not really a concern. This does feel fairly slow as a solution. I do suspect they probably intended me to just make a wall and run and jump, and that this is more on that idea. And I assume I need this power panel, but I'm not 100% sure that there's anything else I can get here. And the worst thing that could happen here by far would be that I would just fall off. Not really leaving myself a lot of room for safety. It seems like your best bet is to be kind of far back and kind of go in a lower left corner to get the prompt and to place it. Like, yeah, it does definitely feel like you're trying to just trick the game by crossing the edges there. And I think that's fairly safe to get there, to get that. But these are all glass walls. So while we can see up here, we cannot get it up here. Yes, I do believe I probably, at least for a secret, needed to collect that. And I'm going to collect that. But I am somewhat questioning what's the next step. I guess it was just long jumping over here and then powering it this. We're in blue, so that is going to shoot me way over here. Wow. And so here's your secret. We pretty much know what to do here. Can I get it on the first try? That will be the tougher question. here would be another point where being able to slow down your walking speed a little bit, I think, could be helpful. Alright, there's a couple choices here, and I'm hoping I'm doing one of the correct patterns. I do think that there are some minimal changes on some of these. When you have a breaker here and a breaker here, that probably means that there's a line that you need to go in a different direction for. These panels are perhaps a little too bright in the outside sunlight. So that's number 4. And yeah. We don't even really have a lot of decorative lights in this game. You're seeing a lot more of these planters with little sapling trees. That would be an interesting storyline twist. I don't know how many people would be smart enough to ever think of something like that, where the whole point of solving the puzzles and walking around here is just to have a human breathing in oxygen and breathing out CO2 to feed the plants and feed the trees, which, yeah, I don't think the ratio there would be accurate. I don't think one human even slightly exerting themselves would make anywhere close to enough CO2 if there wasn't just already a naturally large amount of CO2 in the atmosphere. Okay, that turns off a barrier wall. And then I think that just solves the puzzle. Otherwise, you hit this barrier wall. We can't get down there. But there is a switch here. And we've only seen 2 of the items. So, is there a way to get up to this and get that? Or do we need to just go around in circles again? Seems like you can just leave at this point and go to puzzle 20. So this feels like this would open up some secret. I don't think it does, though. I think what's happening here, and this perhaps is a little too confusing, is that you have to place the fuse or the battery, it probably is better to describe that as a battery, on that. And then I could have changed to orange and hit this wall, and then at that point I would have had the needed item, the second battery that could have been put here to then activate nothing. Okay, well, let's think this through. Yeah, we will run this way. It does feel like it would have been nice after you made the jump that there would have been some kind of ladder or something to stop you from having to do all of this second time. See, nope, that wasn't quite what I needed to do yet. I could see people not realizing the stairs were here. Okay. So then, if there is another secret here, which would be weird that there'd be 2 secrets, but maybe that's just catch up for the fact that there really haven't been that many secrets in the previous 9 puzzles. Okay, we want to be on orange, so we hit the wall now. And so now we have this. And placing that seemed to do absolutely nothing. Oh, maybe there was a wall here. Let's take it. Yes. So you could have disabled this either way. And so I just solved the puzzle twice. And yeah, okay. So there was no extra secret, which would have been a little weird if there's extra secrets. And that brings us to level 20. And we have this symbol, which obviously does not mean lasers, because there were no lasers in that puzzle. And pretty much we know that the green plus mark probably means that there's a secret, and the orange symbol probably means that there are jump plates. Okay, and we're in a big room, but unlike the new version of the game, the big room still is showing that skybox and showing the skyline, so it definitely feels somewhat outdoors compared to some of the rooms in the new version that are totally enclosed and boring ceilings and kind of claustrophobic because of that. But we are also in a weird position now because we have done 20 of these puzzles and only 10 of them are the laser puzzles. So the game is just completely different. If anything, it feels like there's a decent chance we will now do another 10 puzzles that mostly are going to focus around platforming, but will possibly integrate the laser puzzles again. But it does also give a feeling that there might be 50 puzzles in this old version of the game. And I will admit, while I was very hyped on the old version of this game when we did the first 10, some of that enthusiasm has been eroded away by having too much platforming. Like, I would have liked to see maybe doing 3 platforms and then 3 laser puzzles and then 3 platforms and then 3 laser puzzles. More of an emphasis there. So I am making the same criticism that very likely led to the new version, where the new version is 100% laser puzzles. But I definitely would not say it should have been the complete erasure of the 3D platforming and the other gameplay mechanics. Even if you had erased all the platforming stuff, the walking on the panels game mechanic is still very much a puzzle, a logic puzzle, and should have been in the new version of the game, in my opinion. But yeah, if it is a case that the rest of the game is mostly platforming and we basically never see a large amount of laser puzzles, we've got to see some more, because there are definitely gameplay mechanics that haven't even been unlocked yet for the laser puzzles. I wouldn't be 100% satisfied though if it's heavy platforming going forward. I feel like doing these 10 puzzles has proved that we can struggle through platforming well enough. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.